Hi, everybody. I am Kevin Ioli. I appreciate you joining me. And my guest right now was the 2017 Yahoo Sports Trainer of the Year. One of the best trainers in the sport. He trains a guy, in my opinion, who is the best pound for pound fighter in the world. I absolutely love Errol Spence Jr. And this is the guy that built Errol Spence into what he is today, Mr. Derrick James. How are you, Derrick?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Kevin? Great to be here. I'm very happy and flattered, man.
I appreciate you. You had a phenomenal year last year. You trained not only Errol Spence but Jermell Charlo.
Yeah.
Both guys had a lot of big wins, a lot of big fights. For people who don't know, I know you were in the Olympic trials. You've been in boxing for a long time, but how'd you get your start in training? And if you can maybe talk about how you got hooked up with Earl in the first place.
But the funny thing about it, what getting hooked up with Errol was just like an accident. It was like I would go out and I would support local boxing, and I went to a local amateur boxing show, which is the irony of that is that it was a boxing show that was promoted by Charles Hadley's father.
Oh, really?
Which yeah. So I went out and I support the kids. And when I go, and normally I sit on the floor, but this time I sat in the stands, right? It's just all about coincidences. And I sit up next to his father, and his father's videoing the fight. And I was like, look at him, man. He's doing the same thing over and over. They were like, yeah, I know. I've been wanting to, see, you think you can help him? I said, yeah, I can help him. And kind of like, say, a month or two went by, and the father called me, and we just started working. And we worked out one day the first time, and then I didn't talk to him. And the father was like, "Well, you don't want to train?" I said, "No, I showed you what I can do." So I didn't know if you liked it or whatever. And he was like, "Yeah," and it was from that point on. It was we've been together ever since, and this summer will be 9 years.
Mm. So that Earl was what, 15 then when?
No, he was about like 17, 18, because he fought in the junior worlds, and he like immediately like what's funny about it is that we started working. And he started winning like national titles. He won like the under 19, then he won a national pal, then he won a national blood, then he won the U.S. championship. So, but he still had a trainer at the time. So I was like a tutor. I was his boxing tutor. And, you know, at one point the father said he just went to the trainer to show him, said, listen, I want Derrick, we've been working with Derrick and I want Derrick to work the corner. And the guy was like, no, that's not. And then the father was like, well, the guy was like, you gonna leave? He's like, no, we're not gonna leave, but you know, we want Derek to work the corner. It kind of was like they went back and forth. And hey, man, they just went ahead. He told them they could go. Like, you all can go. Now, granted, this guy's number one in America, amateur boxing. The guy told me, y'all can go. You can get out, whatever. So it was kind of like, I had no choice. And at first, I was like, man, I can't do it because I work a full time job. I didn't know I could give him all the time he needed.
Attention, yeah.
And it's like, because I know what it takes. I know the attention you need, and I could tutor you. I was like, but I don't know if I want to, if I can do it full time. And hey, man, he did it. We made it work, and hey, we're world champs now.
Yeah, you turned into one of the best trainers. He's turned into one of the best fighters. Was he
Right.
always fundamentally sound? I mean, obviously he has enormous talent, but he seems to me to be such a fundamentally sound fighter, and has such great footwork that I think sets a lot of his stuff up. Was he
Right.
always that way, or was that something that you guys had to drill over the years?
Well, he's always been a great natural athlete. He played football, played basketball, so he's a great athletic talent, right? And when I started working with him, he boxed and he was well. He was like ranked number three or something, so he was good. But I think that my nagging and working on the fundamentals of technique, throw the punch like this, rotate like this, dip like this. So it's just over and over. And I'm constantly doing it now. We did an interview together, and he said how he can't. I nag him to death. So it's like I'm so much about fundamentals and form. I mean, and it's like most when you look at boxing today, and I realized from when we were in amateurs is that the everybody kind of fought like similar styles, right? But what happens is that the guys who were winning were the guys who mimicked that style the best.
Right.
I never wanted to get into that, and even as a pro, what's funny is I trained with Floyd Mayweather, and I mean not Floyd but Roger, and we trained together, but I never picked up that the way he worked the mints, and I'm always about slowing it down and you know, um, reaction time and great timing and great defense and all these other things. Not about the show, because it's not about the show. It's about how effective you are. And so I think that I've been able to be effective, and I'm happy with that.
His jab, I mean, for one, I think Errol's jab is a power punch. I don't know if you would agree, but
Yeah, yeah.
he seems to hurt people with that jab.
Right, right, right. I mean, it's like it's you know what's funny about it is you listen to people, and I listen to people. I won't say their name, but they always said that punchers are born, not made, which is not true. Because you can be physically strong, but they always talk about the sweet science of boxing. But that's where they leave it. It's a conversation. It's something that you just say, right? But the way that these guys we worked on developing power is just the physics, science, the rotation, the react, and how you just, and so we go more to the science of it. So it's all about physics. When you throw a jab and you step, think about this, you're shifting all your way into a punch. So that technically can be one of the hardest punches you throw. Like if a javelin and got stepping and a lot of power on it. And so and then the rotation after that. So hey man, we focus on that, and you can't get any other punch if you can't land that jab. That's what I believe.
Errol is fighting on June 16th in Frisco, Texas, against Carlos Ocampo, and I'll get into that fight in a second. But you have another fight coming up, Jermell Charlo, who is the WBC 154-pound champion. He's got a tough fight against Austin Trout at the Staples Center on June 9th on Showtime. How do you see that matchup for Jermell? And since he's been with you a couple of years now, what is the biggest difference in Jermell's game?
I think that the biggest difference is, man, I've been able to work with him on his technique. His confidence is there. So, if you remember before, he would move around a lot of moving, a lot of dancing. Not a lot. He didn't throw a lot of punches, but in this camp, he's going with Errol. You got to throw a lot of punches because you got to get him up off of
Right.
So keeps he keeps you busy, and they both work great together. What's good about it is that his confidence is there, his defense is on point, and like I said, you have two great fighters spawn each other, working at a high level, man. And you don't, because really, if you look at boxing, there's never really two great technically sound fighters fighting, and these guys are spawning and working together. So when we get that, hey, we take advantage of it.
Do you feel like it's better for you the fact like they're fighting a week apart? This way, they're always at the same point in their training development. And do you guys intentionally try to work their schedules that way? If you
I think this has been the first time it's happened like this for me, and it's interesting because you're working at a high level nonstop, and I train them one after the other, never at the same time. I don't really care if they ever see each other outside of sparring because I want to give both of them an individual time. So that this makes that a little bit more difficult because they do get to see each other because one's coming after the other. But I think it's good, man. I think it's good because they get to work together and they get to push each other. They get to push one another, which is because normally Errol would spar with Jermell and he wouldn't be in camp. So now it's like it's more motivation. He's a lot sharper because he wouldn't train. He wouldn't be in camp training. He just come in to spar Jermell.
right.
So now it's like it's good, man, because it's high level. It's like these guys are trying to get to the same point at the same time. So it's really good.
Let's. I want to ask you two questions about Jermell and then get back into Errol. The fight with Trout. I mean, Trout is a tricky guy. He can make people look bad. He has that ability to do that. Obviously, his notable win was against Miguel Cotto, but I thought he did pretty doggone good against Canelo Alvarez as well. Maybe
Yeah.
that fight with a break here or there. How do you break that down? What does Jermell have to do to be able to get past Austin Trout?
I think he just has to, man, be smart, man. Follow the game plan, follow the strategy we work on. And Austin Trout's a very, very, very good, very tricky fighter, man. So it's like it, we're gonna have to be 100%. We're gonna have to be on point 100%, do everything basically right. And that's the key to it all, man. Is just focusing on the strategy, focusing on the game plan, and doing everything we need to do this right.
Patience would seem to be a key against Trout because you might get ahead of yourself sometimes fighting him. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I think that it's all about positioning. Also, he has to be in the right spot, right position at the right time. Because if he's not, Trout throws a lot of shots. I mean, he's a worker. I mean, he's gonna outwork you. He's gonna push you to the limit, and you just have to be able to be at the right spot at the right time and just keep pushing him. Because if you don't, he can outpunch you. I think that Jermell Charlo they had great fights together. But I think that Trout is a great fighter, man. It's hard to be in there with a guy who's so skilled, so intelligent, and I think that this is what we need to like. He's not a gatekeeper, but he is a litmus test. He's the
Yeah,
guy that can, with this guy, if you're not 100%, he can beat you. You know what I mean? And
no doubt.
but even if you think about when he beat Hurd, he was it was a good fight. He was outboxing Hurd, to be honest. And then I think this Hurd's size and his he's overwhelmed him, and it was just a little difficult for him. But our game plan is to be smart, be fast, be intelligent, just to be smart. We won't. I'm gonna go any further than that, but it's gonna be pretty interesting because I think this is a guy who can spoil a party. So you got to go out there and go out there and then be ready, man, be 100%.
Who do you think is, assuming that he gets past Austin? And I know that's a big assumption, because you have to fight the fights.
Yeah.
But if he gets past him, what's the big fight down the road for him? Hurd's looked awesome recently. What's the big fight?
Hey, Hurt is, man. It's like he's a tough, very durable and very gritty guy, man. He's the guy that's he is. I don't think he's super skilled, but he's so durable and so big and so strong that that comes into play, and he wears guys down. He beats them up, wears them down, and he does he does the number on them. To be honest, I think he's a great and phenomenal fighter. He's just
Yeah.
really tough, man. His size plays a huge factor in everything he's doing. And I enjoy it. I like it. I think that he comes in and he shows, hey man, you don't have to be so fundamentally sound and so technical. You just have to be able to endure, and that's what he does. He endures.
He got a lot of 1-2 as well. He comes in there and he fights.
Yeah, he
He's a
does.
he's a fun one. That would be a hell of a fight down the road. Let's switch. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I really appreciate your time. I think right now the welterweight division is the most intriguing division in the world, and I said I think Errol might be the best fighter in the world. If it's not Errol, a lot of people think it's Terrence Crawford who's going to debut at welterweight. But you also have Danny Garcia and Sean Porter who are going to fight each other. Keith Thurman, Jesse Vargas. How do you look at this division? Do you see Earl as the guy who's going to be standing at the end of it? And who are the biggest threats in your mind at 147?
I don't know who the biggest threat is. I think that every guy's tough. I can't really judge who's who. I just look at from a technical standpoint what they do and what they do well. And so I really can't call it. I know that what's funny about it, I would always say that people say that Errol was a big welterweight when actually he's really not. He's just the right size for a welterweight. That's if you think about Tommy Hearns, Vernon Forrest. Tommy Hearns was 6'1", Vernon Forrest was 6 feet tall. So Ray Leonard was 5'9", which Errol's 5'10". So all the other guys are smaller guys who just probably need to lose a couple more pounds. Because he's not. He's the right size for a welterweight. But I think that all these other guys are tough, man. I don't know. I can't call who is as tough as Tess because I know Terrence Crawford's tough. He's very smart. I think that I've always said that a good small guy can beat a big guy, but a small guy can't beat a good big guy. If he's too big, he's too strong. He has the same skill set, so I think that makes it very difficult. If you understand.
Well, I'll make you make a prediction if you don't mind here. Terrence Crawford's going to be fighting on the night you're going to be
Yeah.
in LA. He's fighting Jeff Horn, and I think people would agree Crawford's a more skilled fighter, but he's moving
Yeah.
up to Horn's weight class, and Horn's a big, strong dude. How do you like that fight? Who do you think wins it?
Well, I'm always on Team USA first of all, but I think that at the beginning of the fight with Pacquiao, the way he was winging those right hooks and everything, I thought he was going to catch Pacquiao with a big shot and knock him out. But he's very physical. He's a big guy. So it was funny, like when I would say that there were three big natural welterweights, and there was Kell Brook, Jeff Horn and Errol Spence. I mean, those are big guys. I
Right.
mean, the right sides for the weight division. So I think that Terrence Crawford is a very fast, very athletic, and very intelligent fighter. So he just has to go out and do everything he needs to do to be successful. But I think that Horn, he's had a taste of the championship. He loves it. He loves the fanfare. So it's gonna be very difficult to beat him. But hey, man, I think that the small, good guy, the American kid, should win.
All right. Well, I'll keep you to that. That's going to be a fun fight. I look forward to that. And let's talk about Errol's fight briefly. What do you know about Carlos Ocampo? What can people expect from him? Errol really hasn't been threatened too much in most of his fights. You know, he has been such a dominant champion
Yeah.
with that great power of his and the great technique. Can Campo push him?
I think that anything is possible because he's like a guy that nobody knows really a lot about. There's not a lot of video footage out there of him. So I mean, he has the ability. He is the wild card because he can come in any way and fight any style, right? There's so much video on Errol. When we did the press conference, he was sitting there watching Errol's fight against Lamar Peterson
Right.
while we were there. So it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot to study. We practice on doing different things and as we always say, doing things right. And Ocampo is a tough guy. He made it this far. I mean, just not like cakewalk. I mean, but there's not a lot of video, so it's like this is it's very interesting, So I have to, and I like to mimic the guy, throw the punches that they throw, and do everything they do. So hopefully we'll be prepared, and I know we will be, and we should put on a good showing.
And lastly, how disappointed are you? I know Errol was looking for one of these big fights by the end of the year. Keith Thurman didn't seem to be all that interested. And I know Keith got injured again, so when that fight will ever happen, if ever,
Right.
is it disappointing that he hasn't been able to get one of those guys, Thurman in particular, into the ring yet?
Well, I do my best to stay out of it, so I don't get my emotions involved in it. Hey, this is wrong. I don't get my emotions involved in it, right? So I just go out and I just try to be the best I can be. I don't because if you get emotional and it it can be horrible for you. I mean, you get upset with this fight or that fight. My job is to make sure we're just ready when the fight comes. But yeah, we could get a Danny Garcia or Sean Porter winner. At the end of the year, I mean, we're gonna fight one more time. We would hope that it would be one of those guys. I mean, the Keith Thurman thing, it wasn't so much about Keith Thurman; it was about he was the other champion. I think that a lot of people felt like he was a big test, and we wanted that particular test. But at the same time, it is what it is, and I like to not implement my personal feelings in it because this is Errol's career. I'm just here to help him in Jermell's career. I'm just here to help. So I don't do the calling out. I respect all the guys, all the trainers. So I don't do the calling out. I just do my job, man.
Well, I will end with this. If anybody watches Errol Spence, if anybody watches Jermell Charlo, they know that you have helped them because those guys have really developed into terrific fighters. Derrick, I really appreciate you. Thank you, and congratulations on all the great work that you've done, and best of luck in these upcoming fights.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm looking to put my Yahoo Sports plaque somewhere on the wall. I gotta find a good place.
I think I might have had the wrong address when I sent that out.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, thanks for everything, man. I appreciate you. Listen, it's always great to be acknowledged and recognized. I mean, for your hard work and everything you do. It's not an easy job, and my deal is like this. I don't want 29 fighters. I mean, I'm good with my guys, and you can't be what you say you need to be for the guys to have too many fighters. So it's not my deal. And I hope my guys keep getting better. We keep winning, man. Keep looking great.
You're looking on a roll right now. Wish you the best, Derrick. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Thank you. Good day.